In K-pop, a single piece of gossip, whether it's true or completely made up, can be enough to shake everything. Over the years, countless idols have seen their reputations crumble and their careers put at risk, all because of something that started online and spread like wildfire, turning their lives into chaos almost overnight. Before she even set foot on stage as a Blackpink member, Jennie was already dealing with damaging gossip. In 2012, when she was simply known as a YG trainee in the face of G-Dragon's That XX music video, an online post from someone claiming to have briefly gone to the same school in New Zealand accused her of serious wrongdoing. The poster, a 1995-born student, said Jennie, who was born in 1996, had joined ACG Parnell College during elementary school and stayed there until partway through her third year of junior high before moving back to Korea to attend school in Cheongdam. They even mentioned she was scouted by YG soon after returning, noting that her looks hadn't changed at all since those days. But the story quickly shifted from harmless background to heavy accusations. The writer claimed that in 2010, when they first arrived in New Zealand with limited English skills, Jennie and her foreign friends had singled them out and treated them poorly because they were Asian. They went as far as saying the experience was so overwhelming that they had thought about ending their life, comparing what they went through to the then infamous T-Ara situation, insisting Jennie's alleged behavior was equally bad, if not worse. The post didn't stop there. The writer claimed Jennie always had to be in control and got her way no matter what. They went on to allege that she would sometimes throw things at them, whether it was juice, bits of trash, or even balls, and would laugh while doing it. The post then read, "Seeing someone who tortured me in the past preparing to come out on TV as a celebrity as if her past doesn't matter makes me sick," continuing by saying that they had never believed the rumors that surrounded other celebrities, but could now see that there wouldn't be smoke without fire. They clarified right away that their feelings had nothing to do with envy, admitting she was attractive and that her popularity didn't bother them. They also pointed out they weren't into Big Bang or any other idol group, so it wasn't about her appearance in G-Dragon's music video or YG's constant promotion of her. What they wanted, they said, was for people to finally see her for who she truly was. The accuser tried to back up their story by posting Jennie's old yearbook photos along with her signature. They also shared more supposed details, saying she once lived at a Korean friend's house, went back to Korea in 2010 to audition for YG, had a mother who worked as a model, and that she supposedly used her mother's connections to enter the company. At the time, Jennie was still a trainee, but the claims didn't seem far-fetched to many netizens, especially since she already had a lot of people who disliked her. Much of that dislike stemmed from her appearance in G-Dragon's music video, which sparked constant online comments claiming she couldn't act, that her fame came solely from that role, and that YG was unfairly using Big Bang's popularity to promote her. So when the accusations of mistreatment appeared, the public reaction was swift. Comment sections filled with people saying she didn't deserve to debut, that it was unacceptable for someone accused of causing so much harm, allegedly to the point of someone attempting to take their own life, to pursue an idol career for a better life. Many even demanded she apologize, arguing it must be deeply upsetting for the person making the claims to see her on television after everything she was accused of doing. Another commenter said, "It's because people like her who get to debut in the industry give way to possibly becoming the second T-Ara. Who knows?" Some people were convinced the story had to be true simply because the accuser shared so many specific details, arguing that no one could make something like that up with such precision. There was even talk that YG had rushed Blackpink's debut in an attempt to get ahead of the growing scandal. Not everyone was quick to believe the accusations. Those who defended Jennie argued that much of the hostility toward her came from certain Big Bang fans, and for different reasons. Some, they said, were jealous that she had played G-Dragon's love interest in a music video and might have been willing to damage her reputation with false stories. Others felt YG was using G-Dragon's fame to boost Jennie's career, which they saw as disrespectful to him. One person even complained that while Jennie was attractive, YG was supposed to value talent over looks and questioned whether G-Dragon's comeback was being treated seriously at all by the company. Because of the backlash she was already getting for simply interacting with senior artists at YG, her supporters believed it was possible that the same critics were the ones spreading the rumors. A Reddit user also noted that the timing was suspicious since the allegations appeared the same day that XX was released, not when Jennie was first introduced as a trainee in April 2012. The user said that the two might have attended the same school, but still felt the timing was too convenient. On top of that, back then, fans spotted inconsistencies in the accuser's statements, with details constantly changing until the post was eventually deleted. YG never officially responded to these rumors, which allowed them to resurface from time to time, especially around Blackpink's debut. However, many fans took it upon themselves to debunk the claims based on what they knew about Jennie. First, they found it absurd that people believed everything just because of some yearbook photos. They also pointed out numerous flaws in the accuser's story. For example, the accuser got Jennie's class wrong, and the so-called evidence, like photos, photos was nothing new. These images were already widely available online since Jennie was a popular trainee with a growing fan base before her debut. Then there were the claims about Jennie's mother being a model and Jennie getting into YG through her mom's connections. Fans dismissed this, saying the photos showed that Jennie's mom was too short to be a model, so there were no connections behind her joining the company. Another detail didn't add up. The accuser said Jennie stayed at a Korean friend's house, but an NBC documentary titled English Must Change to Survive, which featured Jennie back in 2007, showed she actually stayed with a local family. The victim also insisted Jennie didn't get along with Asians, but fans found photos proving otherwise. Even Jennie's close friends confirmed there were no issues, which left fans puzzled as to why anyone would believe someone relying only on a yearbook photo for proof. Additionally, when Jennie arrived in New Zealand, she barely spoke English and had a thick Korean accent as seen in the documentary, so it didn't make sense for her to exclude someone else for the same reason. A commenter who had studied in New Zealand also pointed out that within the Korean community there, it would be very unlikely for one Asian to ostracize another. Some noted that idols such as BI, Nam Taehyun, NCT's Taeyong, and Lovelyz's Jisoo have all dealt with similar detailed rumors in the past, which were later proven false. This showed that the saying "where there's smoke, there's fire" didn't hold true in this case. The rumors were never officially cleared up, despite many discussions at the time. One theory suggested they were false because they were supposedly written by someone named Mr. Lee, who disliked YG artists and later admitted to making up the stories before being arrested. Meanwhile, several people from Jennie's school stepped forward to defend her and her reputation. Then the scandal popped up again in July 2020 on Sohu, and then in February 2021, the infamous YouTube channel called Garosero brought them up as well. This channel claimed to have solid proof of the scandal, saying a witness named Kang, who had previously accused Jennie, was pressured by YG to take back their accusations. They also insisted that posts exposing Jennie's mistreatment were deleted by YG to cover it up. But many viewed these claims skeptically, since Garosero is a right-wing channel started by a former NBC reporter, Kim Saseo, with a goal of promoting conservative values. The channel has been criticized multiple times for spreading false rumors as facts to harm idols, so it's no surprise that most people didn't trust their version of the story. In August of that same year, the accusations about Jennie resurfaced again, just as other idols like former i-dle member Soojin, Stray Kids Hyunjin, ITZY's Leah, and several others were facing similar allegations. Someone revived Jennie's story on Pan8, and the post quickly gained traction, reaching the top trending spot with over 200,000 views and nearly 400 comments. The person who made the post on August 17th shared a screenshot showing that a complaint had recently been filed against Jennie at the police station over school mistreatment claims. Alongside this, the post collected various negative anonymous accusations about Jennie, including claims that she got into YG because of her family's wealth, rumors about her true personality, and accusations that she acted bossy toward Jisoo. It quickly became clear that the scandal only resurfaced whenever Jennie hit major milestones in her career, like when her song Like Jennie was topping the charts. People seemed to bring up the old rumors right as she was celebrating success. One commenter captured this perfectly, saying something along the lines of how the post was probably written in a fit of anger after seeing Jennie reach #1 on Melon. They highlighted that, regardless of any private frustration, Jennie was marking her 10th year since her debut and still standing strong as a leading solo artist, which made it unsurprising that people kept digging up old rumors in an attempt to bring her down. It's truly heartbreaking how unproven rumors have the power to completely shatter idols' lives, something Jennie almost experienced firsthand. What's even more frightening is how easily someone can invent a story online, present it as fact, and back it up with photos anyone can find on the internet. It's no surprise that these stories spread so quickly, especially when so many are ready to believe them. If you're interested in digging deeper into the hidden realities behind these rumors, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications. There's a lot more about the industry that remains hidden from the public eye. Jennie's case might sound shocking, but years earlier, an even bigger scandal would unfold, fueled not by rumors but by calculated deception. T-Ara were at the peak of their career when a scandal, from which they suffered the consequences for years, broke out in 2012. The members were suddenly under fire for their alleged terrible behavior towards Hwayoung. Netizens first brought up the evidence when T-Ara held their concert in Japan. Their Japanese fans were excited to see the girls perform on stage, but had to accept the fact that Hwayoung would only perform one song with the group as she was suffering an injury at that time. According to many reports, Hwayoung twisted her ankle when rushing to the dressing room after their performance at Music Core on July 23rd of 2012. After the girls returned to Seoul, Hwayoung visited the hospital to treat her injury. A day later, on the 24th of July, the girls traveled to Japan and Hwayoung appeared with a cast on while she was sitting in a wheelchair. A few days after the concert in Japan, Hyomin took to her Twitter account to share her thoughts seemingly directed at Hwayoung's injury. Hyomin tweeted, "There are differences in levels of determination. Let us have more determination." Jeon then responded to Hyomin's tweet and wrote, "The differences in level of determination. Always be humble and sensible. I applaud you, acting genius." It was this series of tweets that prompted netizens to speculate that Hwayoung was being ridiculed by the other members. Hwayoung's twin sister, Hwayoung, added fuel to the fire by tweeting, "Even determination alone is not enough," followed by another tweet that said, "God, you know everything, right?" Hwayoung tweeted not long after that again saying, "My other half is going through troubles," to which Hwayoung replied, "I only have you." Their fans caught up on the situation, and being so sure that something bad was going on between the members of the group, they started to boycott T-Ara, going as far as destroying their merch and cutting up their albums. At that time, there were tons of speculations about the scandal, and T-Ara's fans went back in time to analyze any content that was posted to look for any signs of the girls mistreating Hwayoung. Some of the evidence included Jeon ignoring Hwayoung when she went on to high-five the other members when the girls appeared on a Japanese variety show. Then many people had an issue with a picture Jeon previously tweeted. She took a picture of a Lego dog that stood in front of a bowl with an acorn that was given to her by Jeon. Korean people view an acorn in a dog's bowl as something related to being an outcast. Another instance when people thought the members were mocking Hwayoung was when Jeon posted a selfie on her Instagram after she won an online popularity poll among all of the members. Jeon captioned the selfie, "I won first place in a popularity poll, so I'm sharing this picture. Oh, and Hwayoung got 0 votes. Haha, our poor Hwayoung." There was also an incident when Jeon allegedly made fun of Hwayoung again. The girls appeared on the show Star Life Theater, and there was a moment when all of the members were together in a car. Hwayoung decided to read a book, and the producer of the show commented that Hwayoung seems to enjoy reading a lot. Before Hwayoung could respond, Jeon commented, "It's because of the camera. Wow, you're really funny. I've never seen Hwayoung read a book while being in the same group." The list of the so-called evidence is a long one, but some of those instances call for a question if it was truly as serious as some people made it out to be. On July 30th of 2012, it was announced that Hwayoung would be leaving the group and the agency altogether. These incidents are unacceptable in South Korea, so at that time, T-Ara members were really going through extremely hard times. Their careers suffered tremendously, and it took a while for the general public to warm up to the group again. At that time, no one knew that a big storm was coming and that Hwayoung would end up being the villain in the whole story. In 2015, things took a huge turn when a post stating that Hwayoung was never treated horribly by the members went viral. In the post, the original poster brought back the infamous picture of Hwayoung walking through the airport while she was holding onto 2 men for support. The picture was taken after Hwayoung supposedly injured her ankle. However, the poster shared that prior to that picture being taken, Hwayoung was walking just fine and she didn't need any support. During T-Ara's time in Japan for their concert, it was reported that Hwayoung would be staying at a hotel because her leg hurt and she needed some rest. Instead, Hwayoung allegedly visited a nail studio instead. The post also mentioned that Jeon once performed at a music show and attended a concert with a broken nose, only taking a day off for her surgery. The original poster also provided different things people from the industry personnel said about Hwayoung. One of them shared, "Hwayoung started getting a celebrity disease after she settled in with the group. She was cocky about being a celebrity and a T-Ara member. The original members weren't like that." This news sent a wave of sympathy towards the group as netizens started to realize that maybe Hwayoung was the bad guy. No shocking news came out until Hwayoung and her sister Hwayoung appeared on the talk show Taxi in 2017, which is when the real truth started to come out. In the show, Hwayoung opened up about the scandal from 2012. Hwayoung shared, "It's a shame. Thinking about it now, it's something that can definitely happen between girls. Looking back, we were still young and inexperienced. I wasn't an adult either." After Hwayoung brought up the scandal again, it prompted people to look back on it and investigate it further. Quickly after the Taxi episode aired, a former staff member that worked with T-Ara came forward and claimed that Hwayoung and Hwayoung were lying about the entire incident. T-Ara's former manager also came forward and confirmed that the two sisters weren't being honest about what truly happened. The former staff member also included some text messages from Hwayoung to Arum. Hwayoung would text Arum things such as, "Arum, you have to be thankful and say thank you when you're being taken care of. If you don't want to get beaten up, act right. And dogs only listen when they take a beating." In those messages, Hwayoung also threatened to scratch Arum's face so that she couldn't appear on TV. This incident was confirmed to be true when Hwayoung's agency released a statement that said, "Hwayoung was very young back then, and seeing Hwayoung suffer from the incident made her step in because they're family. She became emotional because she was seeing her little sister suffer so much. There was no other reason for sending the messages." The staff member also included more details about Hwayoung's non-existent injury. According to them, Hwayoung visited the hospital after she twisted her ankle on her way back to the dressing room. Even though she was told told that there was nothing wrong, she insisted on wearing a cast which she would only take off during transport. After Hwayoung arrived at the airport, she knew there would be reporters, which seems like the reason why she asked for a wheelchair. Hwayoung demanded to continue using the wheelchair even after she went to the hospital in Japan, where she was told that there was nothing wrong with her ankle. The staff member said, Hwayoung always demanded that she be allowed to take care of personal tasks and did not work hard at all. As time went by, more and more people came forward to share their experiences of working with Hwayoung. Kim Uri, T-Ara's former stylist, shared his side of the story on Pungmun Show. The former stylist explained that he didn't know what was going on in T-Ara's dorms, but he did know that the relationship between the members had been going downhill. According to Uri, Hwayoung had a hard time fitting in because she was the newest addition to the team. He described her attitude as rude and ill-mannered, and Hwayoung was said to be especially rude towards staff. Uri recalled how Hwayoung would often call the stylist shampoo instead of calling them their names just because they were people who did her hair. Hwayoung also disrespected the older stylist by not using proper honorifics, titles, and never used their names. Hwayoung actually responded by posting a few screenshots from the show and captioned it, "Mr. Kim Uri, I know you're close with Hyomin, but don't make up stories." Uri opening up about the past incidents prompted more people to reveal Hwayoung's bad behavior. One of the two former T-Ara stylists shared, "She expressed her dissatisfaction and complaints right in front of me. She would say things like, 'You can't style hair at all.' If I made a mistake while doing her makeup, she would say, 'You can't even draw a line?'" The second stylist added, "Hwayoung would embarrass us in front of others. The staff simply could not find a reason to like her. She wasn't feeling bad about it either. It was as if her style was to target specific people and make them feel insulted." At that point, Hwayoung got into a serious conflict with the public and even threatened the people who left malicious comments on her Instagram. The post has unfortunately been deleted, but Hwayoung wrote, "Maybe you'll be happy when we're pulling each other's hair out and this turns into a mud fight. Everyone leaving malicious comments, you should watch yourselves first." Everything that came out about Hwayoung was a huge shock to a lot of people. T-Ara's fans couldn't believe that the group had to suffer so much only because of Hwayoung's decision to lie to gain herself some sympathy points and because of her rude and disrespectful attitude. In 2018, Autumn decided to talk about the scandal when she competed on the survival reality show i-dle rebooting project The Unit. Autumn said, "I don't think T-Ara members are at fault. All groups face conflict. It's normal, but the world targeted us and called us out as villains. The members should have communicated more, but we didn't do that. We were too careful." According to Autumn, the members were all very close and they used to get along well. If they did have an argument, it wasn't very serious, and it was more like bickering between family members. Autumn added that at the time of the scandal, they were all too young to know how to handle the situation better and how to react properly. Autumn also revealed that Hwayoung apologized to her personally for sending her threatening texts, and that Hwayoung was very upset with her sister after she found out what messages Hwayoung sent to Autumn. Autumn said, "I think my short time as a T-Ara member taught me a lot of things, but of course, sometimes I think if I hadn't joined the team, I wouldn't have gotten so hurt." T-Ara's scandal was definitely the biggest in K-pop at that time, and because of how badly it affected their career, T-Ara never reached that peak ever again, all because of a handful of lies. While T-Ara's scandal was born from betrayal within, our next case shows how a complete stranger can almost end an idol's career overnight. A shocking claim against a famous idol caught everyone's attention, which were accusations of SA and a company allegedly trying to silence the victim through deportation. But as more details came out, something felt off. The story began to crack, and what started as a serious allegation soon had people questioning if it was all just a lie. A Reddit post by a user claiming to be a 24-year-old African-American woman has sparked concern. According to her, she moved from New York City to South Korea to work as a teacher in Songbook. She explained that she had no issues making friends or going out socially, whether alone or with others. In her post, she described going to a club in Itaewon about 2 weeks prior to speaking out, where she met a K-pop idol whose name she didn't reveal. She said they connected instantly, and after checking in with her friends who were also at the club, they agreed she could talk to him more. What followed, according to her, was a night of heavy flirting, dancing, and drinking before they went back to where he was staying. She claimed that once they were alone, he offered her what he said was water. Trusting him, she drank it, but around 10 minutes later, she began to feel intensely dizzy and disoriented. She said she voiced her discomfort, but he brushed it off. Not long after, she claimed she became unable to move or resist as he forced himself on her. Afterward, she alleged that he told her to leave. Still barely able to walk or speak, she said she eventually managed to get out and contacted her friends. But when she tried to explain what happened, none of them apparently believed her, not even the one who saw them leave the club together. together. They allegedly dismissed her claims, accusing her of making up the story because she regretted the encounter. She explained that going to the police didn't feel like an option as she feared they wouldn't take her seriously, and even more than that, she was scared of how Korean netizens might react if her story got out. Although she didn't reveal the idol's name, she left a vague clue saying he was part of a trio from the third or fourth generation of K-pop. Not long after the first post, the user returned with a follow-up in the Off My Chest subreddit, where more details about the incident were shared. According to the original poster, the violent encounter lasted for hours, and once it was over, the accuser said she was thrown out and left to make her way home on her own, sometime around 4 or 5 in the morning. After being encouraged by others to report the incident, the user claimed she did go to the police. However, according to what the embassy later told her, no action was taken against the idol. Still looking for accountability, the original poster said she wrote a formal letter to his agency, which she said was part of the so-called Big Three, laying out everything that had allegedly happened in hopes that they would investigate the matter internally, but she received no reply. Later on, the user said she got an unexpected phone call telling her to bring all of her legal documents to the immigration office. Since the accuser was in South Korea on a valid work visa, she didn't initially suspect anything unusual, but once she arrived, she claimed she was told that her visa had been revoked and that she had 30 days to leave the country. The original poster said she was completely caught off guard by what happened next. When she asked immigration why her visa was being revoked, the response stunned her as they claimed she had spread false information that harmed the country's reputation. Still confused, the user pushed for a clearer explanation. That's when she said she was told this was considered the civil route because the idol's agency had already reported her to immigration for harassment and defamation. In other words, the user said she was being deported for speaking up. In her post, the accuser expressed deep frustration, saying she couldn't wrap her head around the fact that she was being forced to leave simply for trying to report what happened. In a separate comment on Reddit, the original poster also claimed that she had physical evidence and medical records to support her claims, and that she had made several copies of them. Although the original posts were eventually taken down, they later resurfaced on the K-pop noir subreddit, posted with the accuser's permission, going viral as other K-pop stans tried to figure out the identity of the idol. Then, as the topic was gaining more traction, a Twitter account surfaced, with the user claiming that they were the person who had made the Reddit posts. She said she was no longer in South Korea and was safe, but explained that she wouldn't reveal the idol's identity until she was back in the United States. Still, even without a name, rumors began to spread quickly. Online speculation pointed toward 3RACHA, the rap subunit of Stray Kids, mainly because they matched the few hints the user had given, a trio under one of the big three companies. But the accuser made it clear that those rumors were false. She said the speculation was getting out of control and that the misinformation was causing her to be harassed. She stressed that clearing up those false claims was a top priority and that she couldn't say more until she returned to the US. To prove she was the same person who posted on Reddit, she shared screenshots from her Reddit account claiming it belonged to her. She also gave one more important detail. The idol was signed under JYP Entertainment. That narrowed things down quickly. Of the third and fourth generation male groups under JYP, there were only 2 possible trios, and since she had already ruled out 3RACHA, many turned their attention to Day6's subunit, Even of Day. Eventually, she appeared to confirm those suspicions by retweeting a post that read, "What makes the most sense is Day6." That led people to speculate further, with most pointing to Dawoon, the youngest member and drummer of the group. When someone asked her which member she was referring to, the accuser responded with a gif of a cat playing bongos, which many took as a not-so-subtle hint that she was talking about him. She also liked tweets directly accusing him. However, people started becoming suspicious of the whole thing when the user posted the so-called proof. From the start, the timeline didn't make any sense. She said the two had hit it off at the club at around 11 p.m. and then went back to his place, with the alleged crime taking place at around 4 or 5 in the morning, but fans quickly pointed out that Day6 were seen rehearsing past midnight. Not only that, Dawoon had back-to-back concerts at KSPO Dome from May 9th through the 18th, making it hard to believe he had the time to go to a club. Then came the images, 2 selfies showing her with smudged makeup and her eyes hidden, one on the street, another at the hospital, and a third photo of a document with parts blacked out. At first glance, they were unsettling, but the more people looked, the more they noticed things that didn't add up. In the first selfie, her necklace appeared oddly distorted, cut off in some areas and blending unnaturally in others. In the second image, the inconsistencies kept piling up. The 2 necklaces from the earlier photo seemed to merge into one. Her tattoo looked noticeably different, and the writing on her shirt didn't match known branding. That shirt in particular caught the attention of fashion enthusiasts. She was supposedly wearing the Etta Gia tank from I Am Gia, but the print on the shirt said Gi Gia instead. It was pointed out that even knockoffs usually follow the brand's text style, and the font on her top looked completely off. What really set off alarm bells was the image of the so-called hospital document. Right away, something felt off. The photo didn't look like it was taken naturally as the angles were odd, the paper looked way too smooth, and the lighting across the document didn't match the rest of the scene. Even the laptop in the background was strangely blurry. Korean netizens quickly pointed out several issues. The document was filled with spelling mistakes, and some characters were completely botched. Letters and even whole syllables were just wrong. Plus, the user had claimed to be 24 on Reddit, but the document listed a birth year of 2004, making her 21. That alone made people question whether the entire story was real. But the biggest red flag came later. Internet users discovered that the two photos shared by the account weren't just suspicious, they were AI generated. Worse, they were directly based on images from a British model's Instagram account at lame.cobain. People even found the exact reference photo used to create the AI image. It came from a post she made in January 2023 where she's wearing the same shirt but with the correct text along with two matching necklaces and identical nails. Same pose, same expression, and any theory that the model might actually be the victim didn't hold up either, as when the alleged crime happened, she was in Ibiza, so the more people looked into it, the more it seemed like the whole thing had been made up. After things started falling apart, the Twitter user tried to do damage control by starting a Twitter space to answer questions. But instead of clearing anything up, she just made everything worse. When asked about the document, she claimed that she had asked her legal team if she could share any proof. According to her, they gave her permission to post 3 images. She said those were sent back to her and that she simply uploaded them. But then she added that after sharing them, she suspected her legal team might have used AI to alter the photos, which supposedly explained why they looked off. That didn't clear up much, especially when people pointed out that the pictures looked nearly identical to the ones from a British model's Instagram. When confronted, the user just said she was confused and didn't understand why her images matched someone else's so perfectly. Things got even stranger when someone asked about her Korean skills. Despite saying she had lived and worked in Korea for 9 months, she admitted she didn't speak the language at all. That raised a lot of eyebrows, especially because she claimed to be teaching and people questioned how she could do that without knowing Korean. It didn't help that Do-woon, the person she claimed to have interacted with, barely speaks any English himself. So how did they even talk? Then she was asked about how she communicated with hospital staff. She said she used Google Translate, but long-term residents in Korea usually rely on Papago, a much more accurate and common translation app for Korean. That answer alone made people doubt whether she had ever lived there. On top of that, she had no idea what topic was, which a widely known Korean language test most foreigners are at least familiar with if they live or work in Korea. All these red flags made it harder and harder for anyone to believe her story. What really set people off, though, was her behavior during the space. While being called out for faking such a serious story, she chuckled and it was clear that she was trying to keep herself from laughing. Her reaction made it obvious she wasn't treating the situation with the seriousness it deserved, and that only added to the growing backlash. As a Twitter account put it best, lying and using AI to make false essay allegations against someone is just vile and contributes to actual essay victims not being taken seriously. What a disgusting thing to do. People were also disturbed by how far the account went, taking the model's photos and running them through AI just to make her look injured and distressed. Another person said, "This is really disturbing. How can someone be this insane for attention to fake everything, especially about something so big? Really disgusting. I hope the company takes an action against the person." By this point, people were starting to question whether the Reddit and Twitter accounts actually belonged to the same person. Some even speculated that the Twitter user might have faked evidence using Photoshop or AI to make it seem like both accounts were hers. Then the Reddit user came forward claiming the Twitter account was indeed her at first. She said she had written the early tweets, including the pinned post and the Reddit confirmation, but then someone allegedly hacked her account and took over everything else, including hosting the space. According to her, she began receiving non-stop password reset emails around 4 in the morning, and after accidentally clicking one, she lost access. But that explanation didn't hold up. People noticed her own screenshot showed the first email came at 4 p.m., not 4 a.m., contradicting her timeline. She also insisted she never mentioned anything about the i-dle being from JYP. However, someone pointed out that the tweet claiming the i-dle was from JYP was posted before the Reddit confirmation, something she claimed to have written herself. She tried to explain that by saying the post had been edited, since Twitter now allows that. But others quickly pointed out that Twitter marks edited tweets, and the JYP tweet showed no sign of being changed, so the inconsistencies just kept piling up. In the eyes of many who followed this from the start, everything points to the entire thing being made up on both Reddit and Twitter. JYP Entertainment hasn't made a public statement, which isn't unusual, but many believe it's only a matter of time before legal action is taken. Given the severity of the claims and the involvement of an uninvolved public figure, both JYP and the model herself could have strong grounds to sue. The model didn't stay silent either. She publicly distanced herself from the situation, calling it outrageous that someone not only stole her images, but also ran them through AI to turn them into fake evidence. She made it clear she had nothing to do with the claims and was disgusted that her likeness was used in such a damaging way. What's even more disturbing is the idea that all of this might have been some kind of joke. Using AI and a real person's face to push a false story, especially one involving something as serious as SA, is beyond irresponsible. These kinds of stunts make it even harder for real victims to be believed. All it takes is one lie like this, and people start using it as an excuse to doubt those who are actually telling the truth. But sometimes, no matter how much truth comes to light, the damage is already done. Just ask Soojin.
Fans of Cube Entertainment Group seem to be going through a streak of bad luck lately. After Eugene announced CLC's disbandment on Girls Planet 999, i-dle fans got some shocking news as well. Seo Soojin was said to be leaving the group following the accusations for inappropriate behavior from a middle school classmate. But is she really leaving on her own, or was she forced out of the company? Despite the fact that both Cube Entertainment and Soojin denied the accusations, Soojin went on hiatus and had been absent from the group activities since March, and well, more than 5 months later, Cube announced her departure from i-dle. They were even so quick that they actually already removed her from the official website and the group's Spotify profile. But are these accusations the only reason Soojin left, or is there something more sinister going on in the background that Cube Entertainment is trying to cover up? This case smells fishy as hell. The Korean entertainment industry has been flocking with accusations of inappropriate behavior this year like crazy, and it has left fans on the edge, wondering whether their favorites could be the next one to be exposed. From Luna's Chu, ITZY's Leah, 17's Mingi, to beloved actress Seo Hee, stories about celebrities mistreating and hurting their fellow classmates have been coming up really often, some true and some not. One of the most shocking news was definitely Soojin being accused of bad behavior, not once, not twice, but a total of 3 times in the span of a few weeks. We've already discussed how Soojin was allegedly quite the bad girl when she was young. She apparently smoked, drank, and even rode a motorcycle. Soojin admitted that even though she wasn't the best behaved student, she didn't hurt any of her classmates either mentally or physically. But this didn't stop new rumors from popping up. Another accusation came out on February 12th when the alleged victim A claimed, in a now deleted Pan post, that Soojin was awful to them in middle school. But due to them not providing any evidence except pictures of Soojin from when she was in school, netizens didn't take the accusation seriously. Well, how could they? The only thing those pictures proved was that they went to school together, and that was it. You'd think that they would have more evidence for such a serious accusation. After being criticized by netizens for the lack of proof, B commented under their post, "Soojin, you're lucky that you have so many people to shield you even with all the things you did. You should have been nicer to people," and then deleted the post entirely. Soojin couldn't catch a break because things only seemed to go down from there. Even though this post was deleted just in time, another accusation came out. This time, it was from the alleged victim that called themselves B, and the alleged victim's older sister who claimed the singer made her sibling's life a living nightmare. The sister stated on Instagram, "She would call my sibling and my sibling's friend to the bathroom and make them each other, and would send group texts saying that my sibling is a loner and outcast." After these statements, waves of Korean news and media sites began to report on the accusations, and this prompted Cube Entertainment to finally take action and state that not only were all these allegations false, but they would take legal action to protect their artist. And this should have been the end of it all, right? Well, not quite, because let's be real, Cube never protects their artists. The last straw came from actress Seo Hee, who threw a strange story on Instagram, raised even more suspicion about the innocence of Soojin in this whole drama. "None of your excuse," the actress wrote, and yes, technically she didn't specify anything, but this coming right after the Cube statement, it didn't exactly take a genius to connect the dots about whom the post could be about. Supposed classmates of Hee came out to support her statements, implying that it was about Soojin, but again, no concrete evidence was given by any of them. Soojin was probably tired of Cube being unable to do their job properly and decided to take matters into her own hands by posting a statement addressing the accusations one by one. She went through every event described by the people accusing her and explained that, yes, she may have done some rash and dumb things, but she never hurt anyone to the extent the accusers described. She couldn't even remember half of the things that she was accused of doing. Soojin even confirmed that her and victim B's representatives met, and when it came to Seo Hee, Soojin claimed that they had never interacted together and asked for Hee to clear things up herself. She apologized for inappropriate behavior like her smoking and drinking, but insisted on her innocence when it came to declarations of her mistreating other students. This encouraged a wave of support from her old friends from elementary school, one even writing a long post debunking all of Shinee's arguments and went as far as to say that if they were asked about the testimonies by the alleged victim, they'd have no problem answering the questions. The alleged classmate said, "Soojin never inflicted school upon Seo Hee. When Seo Hee transferred to our school, she hung out with me. The group of kids never looked at her and laughed at her. This just made things all the more confusing." Hee must have been triggered by Soojin claiming she didn't even know her because the actress posted a long caption on her Instagram about the situation, still not addressing Soojin by name. She says she doesn't remember and that she never talked to me, and that's right. It was always a one-sided affair with her insults. It is regrettable that she came to the conclusion that the remarks and actions she made within her group weren't true. This seemed to be the last straw for KOOP, who announced that they were investigating the claims and that Soojin would be exempt from all group activities for an indefinite time, meaning she was put on hiatus. It's so typical of KOOP to do anything but the right thing when it comes to problems like these. The situation got even shadier when they removed her from the song and cut her out of the Last Dance music video like that would solve anything. I could pretend to understand her going on hiatus until everything was officially resolved, but acting like she didn't exist in the first place, that simply doesn't seem right. But with Hyunjin rejoining Stray Kids activities after being faced with similar accusations and even industry experts predicting an i-dle comeback as a full group, Neverland's got their hopes up about the situation finally coming to a conclusion. But that was certainly not what happened, and I think that's on us for hoping for the best when we know the company we're dealing with here. How naive we were, guys. On August 14th, Cube Entertainment announced that Soojin decided to leave the group and that i-dle would continue to promote as a 5-member group. Fans were definitely not pleased. One angry fan wrote, "We waited for almost 6 months without any updates from Cube, and now you're giving us this crap announcement. She doesn't deserve all of this." Good for them. It's only fair to be angry after seeing how the company has been handling everything. This has dragged on for 6 months and ended with her leaving the group even though Cube made it seem like the hiatus would sort the issue out. Who wouldn't be angry about this? But is the scandal the only thing that prompted her departure, or is there something else going on that Cube doesn't want us to know about? In her statement about the situation, Soojin said that if anything from the accusations was proven to be correct, that she would leave the group herself, and that's the exact thing that Cube said in the announcement. So that should be a clear-cut ending to this, but before we come to any hasty conclusions, let's once again see who we're dealing with. We should take into consideration the fact that Cube Entertainment are not exactly known for their stellar management and are regarded as the worst company that deals with K-pop idols. They managed to mess up a perfectly good group like 4Minute, plus they horribly managed CLC and didn't even give us an official statement about their disbandment. But most importantly, let's recall how they handled the Hyuna and i-dle dating scandal, because this whole Soojin situation seems oddly familiar. In 2018, it was reported that Hyuna and former Pentagon member were dating, and despite Cube denying it, Hyuna admitted to the relationship and asked for support from their fans. Cube just couldn't let the couple be happy, could they? Apparently not, because they were both kicked out soon after for breaking the royalty and loyalty between the artist and the company. Stans weren't convinced by the excuse either, because everyone with more than 2 brain cells knows that even though dating is frowned upon in the industry, it's still not a good enough reason to kick the artist out of the company. Especially Hyuna. Hyuna of all people. She was basically keeping the lights on in that company by that time, and they still kicked her out. This, on top of CLC's dismissal and Soojin leaving the group, it's like they want to go bankrupt. Doesn't this make things even more suspicious though? A fan on Twitter said, "She didn't decide to leave, they forced her to because they don't know how to deal with situations like this. A pathetic company." And I couldn't agree more. You mean to tell me Soojin, who persuaded her father to become an idol despite him disapproving and who worked hard for years, would just leave the group? Not very likely, unless there was something shady happening behind closed doors. And the fact that they just debuted another girl group, get those girls out of there before it's too late, please. So, the Soojin saga finally came to an end, and it's not one we're happy with. Choosing the easy way out instead of dealing with controversies and protecting their artists seems to be the Cube way of doing things, and it's probably going to be their downfall as a company.
And Soojin's story wouldn't be the last, because soon one rookie idol would face a storm of allegations that may not have been what they seemed. LE SSERAFIM's debut was one of the most controversial debuts in the history of K-pop, and that's because of Kim Garam. When she was announced as a member, people started accusing her of school mistreatment. But the real question remains, is Garam the one to blame for her career getting ruined, or was she actually framed? The first allegations against Garam came out on April 5th when Garam was announced as a member of Hybe's newest girl group. The anticipation and excitement was over the roof since this was the first girl group that was debuting under the company in 10 years. Sure, technically Big Hit and Hybe aren't the same company, but still, everyone was waiting for the debut with a lot of enthusiasm. But the very day Garam was introduced as a member of the group, an anonymous netizen claimed that she had mistreated a bunch of people when they were in school together. On top of that, there were rumors that Garam was originally supposed to debut under Starship Entertainment's i-dle, but was removed from the lineup in the company because she had leaked confidential documents. Hybe immediately denied the accusations and said that not only wasn't Garam the perpetrator, but that she was actually a victim of mistreatment herself. They also refuted the claims that Garam was a trainee with Starship, which made the rumors about her leaking documents completely false. Hybe went a step further and threatened to sue anyone who made malicious comments against Garam and said that since she was still a minor, the issue shouldn't be used for the media to generate clicks and views. This didn't stop the public's outrage though. Hybe faced a lot of criticism over their statement as they were going above and beyond to defend someone who hadn't even debuted yet. The statement didn't stop new allegations from popping up though, as Garam's friends were accused of threatening the initial accuser and asking for her to delete the comments about Garam. The situation only got worse once other alleged victims started speaking up and even said that Garam had made some highly inappropriate comments about BTS's Taehyung and other idols. To support these claims, pictures of Garam making lewd hand gestures were published on online forums. These photos had Garam standing in front of a chalkboard with inappropriate drawings over it. This wasn't all. It seemed like every day there was new information coming out about Garam's infamous past and things that could not only ruin her career, but the career of her bandmates too. Whenever they would appear in public and fan meets, even though the public would cheer loudly for the rest of the LE SSERAFIM members, they would go completely silent for her, which must have stung a lot. The vague statements from her and the company didn't help either and only made things all the more mysterious. The company kept saying that she was innocent, yet unlike the victims, they didn't release any proof to back those claims up. The nail in the coffin hit when a legal firm called Daedum released an official statement for their client who claimed to be a victim of Garam. Daedum provided details from several incidents where Garam had mistreated their client Yoo Eun-sol, and well, we can all imagine how the public took the information. The firm also said that they sent the evidence to Hybe's headquarters, and because of this, Eun-sol decided to go public with their reports and accusations. The heaviest part of the claims was when Daedum revealed that Eun-sol had hurt herself twice and was receiving psychological treatment because of her mistreatment. Hybe refuted the claims at first, but they decided to put Garam on hiatus until things calmed down a little, and LE SSERAFIM went on to promote as a 5-member group. They still stood by her though, and kept claiming that the accusations were one-sided and that Garam was suffering a lot of psychological trauma from the allegations. The hiatus did nothing to clear up the confusion. In fact, it only made things all the more puzzling. In May, numerous media outlets published articles about industry insiders revealing that Source Music and Hybe were negotiating with Yoo Eun-sol so they could reach an agreement and bring Garam back to the industry. There were also rumors that Garam would come back for the group's Japanese promotions, but that never ended up happening. What was sure for fans was that she would be coming back in one way or another, but that the company would wait for the public to forget about the allegations. Then the company took an unexpected decision by terminating her contract on July 20th. They released a statement saying, "Our company has decided to terminate the exclusive contract with Kim Garam. We extend our sincerest apologies to our fans and to those who have shown love and support to the group." They went on, "LE SSERAFIM will continue their activities as a 5-member group, and we will spare no effort to support the group." This is where things get strange though. Mistreatment allegations are nothing new in K-pop, but the way Source Music and Hybe dealt with them was really strange. Their refusal to kick Garam out until much later struck some people as a weird decision, especially knowing that the group's reputation, as well as the company's, was hanging by a thread because of the scandal. LE SSERAFIM were already controversial enough because of their concept, and Hybe were in hot waters because they were dragging out the conversation about BTS's enlistment, so why would they make things worse by keeping Garam in their group? She was a rookie. The public hadn't gotten the time to get attached to her enough to protect her against the allegations, and they'd lose basically nothing if she were to be kicked out. There are two theories about this. One of them is that Garam dug her own grave. Obviously, she shouldn't have done the things she had allegedly done, and that's basically the only reason that she should be blamed for what has happened to her. But there were rumors floating around that the only reason Hybe wasn't getting rid of her was because she was from a very rich family. The rumor said that Garam's family had important connections in the industry and was the sole reason why Hybe was hesitating to take action against her. What people believed was that if Garam was really to blame for the way the situation was getting dragged out, then she she had probably asked her family to do the impossible just to keep her in the group. But you must keep in mind, this is such a big stretch of a theory that it's impossible to claim that it's true. The other theory comes from Garam's friend herself, who's alleging that her friend was framed and is being used by the company for an unfair media play. She wrote a long statement in defense of Garam, saying that she was used by the company for media play and that she was actually framed. She said, "First, Yoo Eun-so mistreated me from elementary to middle school, and she cursed my parents and physically threatened me. However, the reason I brought this up is because I asked myself what I did wrong, and as a party who had been mistreated for about a year, the perpetrators who had lied to each other for about a month hid under the word victim, and I was accused of being the second perpetrator." Eun-so also said that Garam caused her to transfer schools because the mistreatment was too much to handle. Garam's friend refuted this, saying, "Secondly, the fact that Yoo Eun-so claimed to transfer is false. In Eun-so's position, it is a lie that she transferred because of Garam. Also, she posted a picture of classmate 1 in her underwear on classmate 2's account. Later on, she transferred to another school. In the process, Yoo Eun-so was disciplined with number 6. All of this is what Eun-so has said herself, and she has the evidence of this." The friend also said that Eun-so's friend had sent a complaint to her, and that Garam's friend group had done everything to save their friend's reputation, but that Hybe hadn't taken anything into consideration. According to the friend, Hybe didn't care about protecting Garam and her reputation as much as they cared about making a big deal out of it. She ended the statement by saying, "Lastly, I gave Garam everything I had as a friend and collected testimonies from other friends, but they didn't use our data for their statements, and I was very hurt by these adults who used an 18-year-old as means of noise marketing. I'll post more materials and stories later." If this is really true, it means that Garam and her schoolmates had disagreements and petty fights as children, and her classmates just blew things out of proportion since she was debuting under Hybe of all companies. Hybe also took advantage of the noise marketing and dragged things out for the media and netizens to keep talking about it. However, for such a big company, this strategy wouldn't make sense whatsoever. First, it's doubtful that Garam would be receiving a 5th level punishment by the School Violence Countermeasures Committee for a simple argument, as actual lawyers said that it's extremely rare to issue a 5th level punishment in the absence of physical violence. Also, Hybe looked like they wanted to save Garam's reputation more than anything, so I doubt that they would reject testimonies proving that Garam was not the person the accusers were claiming her to be. But no matter who's guilty, everyone should refrain from sending Garam hate or threats. She's only human after all, and the amount of hate she's getting at the moment could have serious consequences and end up with her hurting herself or worse. She may have or may have not done something wrong, but nobody deserves the amount of threats and backlash she's getting. But then Hybe's internal leak suggested that there was far more to the Garam case than the public was told. Over 2 years have passed since Garam left Les Seraphim, and while it was initially believed that it was due to serious accusations, recent information hints that she may have actually been a victim used as a promotional tool to stir rivalry with other groups. It all began on April 5th, 2022, the same day Garam was introduced as a member of Les Seraphim, when an online post surfaced accusing her of mistreating classmates. This quickly spiraled, with allegations ranging from tormenting to claims that she was originally meant to debut with i-dle but was dropped by Starship Entertainment due to alleged bad behavior. Hybe was quick to respond, denying the accusations and stating that Garam was actually the victim of the situation while warning of legal action against those spreading the rumors. The initial allegations led to a wave of rumors and speculation, with stories varying from plausible to completely fabricated. Things only intensified when the law firm Daryum came out to publicly represent an alleged victim of Garam's named Yoo Eun-so. The firm issued a statement detailing how Garam's actions allegedly harmed the alleged victim's mental health to the point that she harmed herself. Daryum also claimed that they had sent evidence of Garam's behavior to Hybe but received no response, leading them to make everything public. Their statement triggered widespread public anger, sparking demands for her removal from both the group and the industry. Although Hybe denied the allegations, they ultimately put Garam on an indefinite hiatus, and Les Seraphim continued as a 5-member group. This hiatus only fueled further speculations about what the truth was, as some fans suspected Hybe was simply waiting for the public to move on, with the intent to bring Garam back without addressing any consequences. Despite the differing opinions on the situation, it was widely believed back then that Hybe and Source Music did everything in their power to keep Garam in the company and to handle things to the best of their abilities. Her activities were put on hold, rumors were tackled, and they seemed to be working on collecting evidence to clear her name. However, when none of that worked, Garam's contract with the company was terminated on July 20th, 2022, and she left the group. This this was supposed to be it, but Garam's fans weren't convinced she was guilty, especially since she hadn't spoken out about the whole thing even once. In their opinion, it wasn't fair that everyone got to share their side of the story while Garam had to remain silent. Their wishes were finally fulfilled as just 2 months after leaving, she decided to release a statement of her own and share her perspective. Garam uploaded a statement to her friend's Instagram account where she acknowledged that she hadn't always been on her best behavior at school. However, she insisted she had never hit or hurt anyone physically, was never forced to switch schools, smoked, or drank alcohol. In her statement, she also talked about receiving Degree 5 disciplinary action from the school committee. She explained that a classmate was spreading gossip and sharing photos of other students in their underwear. Trying to help those affected, she confronted her classmates and used strong language, later realizing that her approach was wrong and misguided. Garam said, "At that time, my method was incorrect and I made a lot of mistakes, but I do not want to hate my past self." Her revelations didn't come as a surprise to those who thought the scandal was exaggerated in the first place. What was unexpected, however, was Garam presenting real evidence of her innocence. She shared a document from the school countermeasure committee supporting her account of a confrontation with a classmate regarding an inappropriate social media post. While this led to people thinking that they were both troublemakers, the document that Garam provided mostly managed to sway public opinion in her favor. Many began to reconsider their stance as they saw her differently. She was no longer viewed as a villain who harmed someone else, but rather as a victim of a situation that spiraled out of control. This also had everyone wondering why Hybe hadn't presented this document beforehand. If they genuinely tried their best to protect Garam and the group, why didn't they allow her to share her own statement earlier? And why didn't they release the document from the school committee showing that the situation wasn't serious enough to damage her chances of being an idol? One would expect that would be their priority, but instead they left Garam to deal with everything alone and removed her from the group. Her removal also had harsh effects on both her and LE SSERAFIM. The group became known for losing a member just 2 months after its debut due to accusations of mistreatment, and for Garam, these events shattered any chance of building a career in the industry. Garam has kept a low profile since she was basically kicked out. She returned to school, completed her studies at Seoul's School of Performing Arts with a focus on acting, and reportedly passed the initial application process for the prestigious acting program at Dongguk University. Although no longer an idol, she appears committed to pursuing a career in acting, and things seem to be progressing well for her. However, aside from her fans and rare updates, most people moved on from Garam as LE SSERAFIM continued to succeed as a 5-member group. That was until now, when some new revelations came to light that completely shocked the public. On October 24th, during a Culture, Sports, and Tourism Committee audit, Democratic Party lawmaker Representative Min Hyung-bae disclosed a document from Hybe titled Weekly Music Industry Report, distributed to its senior executives and affiliates. The report covered a range of things, from remarks on I-dle's looks to allegations that aespa's Winter had copied LE SSERAFIM's Chaewon's hairstyle, along with hints about possibly ditching new jeans. It was through these reports that people came to the conclusion that Hybe is allegedly responsible for why Garam wasn't properly protected during her scandal. The company's report on Garam's scandal starts by talking about her introduction as a member, highlighting how netizens praised her beauty and likened her to actresses like Go Yoon-jung and Go Min-shi. However, it notes that the following day, rumors of mistreatment emerged, leading to intense backlash against her. The report emphasizes that there was no evidence supporting these claims and mentions unverified rumors about her being a trainee at Starship, where she allegedly faced expulsion due to attitude problems. It was also said that one of the most damaging allegations stemmed from a photo of her in front of a blackboard with inappropriate words on it. It seems that the company feared that netizens would continue to harbor negative feelings toward her because of this photo, even if the mistreatment rumors were disproven. The report also notes that when aespa debuted, various rumors circulated about them, which actually boosted its popularity. It appears that Hybe viewed this as an opportunity to promote their own group in a similar way. The analysis goes on to say that a photo of a blackboard, which was shared during Garam's scandal, featuring the phrase "defeat i-dle," sparked a rivalry with i-dle even before LE SSERAFIM's debut, which seemingly helped the latter attract attention. An emerging divide among former IZ*ONE members Jang Won-young, An Yoo-jin, Sakura, and Kim Chae-won was also mentioned, which the company aimed to leverage for promotional purposes. In their own words, if this could be publicly turned into a competitive narrative and lead LE SSERAFIM to surpass other rookie girl groups, it could result in a positive trend. It turns out the photo of the Defeat i-dle board was taken before Garam transferred schools, meaning she had no connection to it whatsoever. However, However, Hybe seemed unfazed by this in their report, as they suggested that even if the rumors about her leaving IVE weren't true, they could still use them for marketing. One idea was to have the group cover an IVE song to shift the narrative to the one spreading the rumors. They also noted that having Garam compete with Hwayoung on Music Bank could help improve her image. For Hybe, the internal leak issue is the most frustrating aspect of the controversy. They noted that even before the teasers were released, there were reports about someone revealing the team's lineup and timeline. In Garam's situation, they said that there were hints about her troubled past, which would imply that Hybe already knew about her behavior issues before they became public. The reports left Garam's fans furious, especially since Hybe and others had acted like they were doing everything possible to support her and keep her in the group. Instead, it appears they did the opposite, letting her handle the backlash alone and even using it to fuel a rivalry with another group. A fan of hers wrote, "Garam was painted as a vile person and a liar by the adults she thought she could trust. Every single person failed her so miserably, it's actually appalling." Others pointed out that the company didn't even have any intention of protecting her. They just saw her situation as something they could use for noise marketing to promote Le Seraphim, all at the cost of her future. In the past, an alleged friend of Garam had also suggested that her debut amidst the scandal might have been a strategy by Hybe for noise marketing, claiming it was all planned to generate buzz for the group. This friend stated she gathered supportive statements and evidence from others, but said Hybe chose not to use them, missing an opportunity to defend Garam's reputation. The alleged friend said, "They used an 18-year-old high schooler for noise marketing and kicked her out like that." While Garam seems to be doing fine now and has managed to clear her name, it's still sad to think that we never got to see what she could offer as an idol. Garam clearly had a strong connection with the other members, and they cared for her deeply, yet she was treated unfairly by the company, removed from the group's history, and wronged in many ways by the people she was supposed to trust. All we can do is hope that we see her in the future, whether that's as an actress or as an idol, as we're sure she will be successful in any area. If you thought leaked files were damaging, wait until you see the chaos one trainee unleashed on all of K-pop. If you were to look at Han Seo Hee's promising past, you would think that she would be one of the most promising idols out there. Instead, her choices led to her being one of the reasons for YG Entertainment's catastrophic downfall. There isn't much known about her early life or her family, but there have been rumors about her being a golden spoon. It's said that her dad runs a local company in Incheon, earning around 30 to 40 billion won annually, and that he's also the proud owner of a building in Songdo, which led people to believe that she's wealthy. She said so herself in 2017 when she posted a picture of herself with the TVXQ members taken back in 2005. The caption on the picture was, "Found a relic while going through my albums, the yellow padding is me, I was a golden spoon." Her family being well off and going out of their way to keep her happy could shed light on why things played out the way they did in the future and why she is often referred to as the biggest nightmare of K-pop idols. If she came from a chaebol family, it would explain why she allegedly lives at the Trimage apartment in Seoul, which is an apartment complex for the filthy rich. She also allegedly drives an expensive car, is often seen in designer clothes, and carrying pricey bags. Some rumors said that no, Seo Hee wasn't your typical rich girl heiress, but that her father runs a small IT company and her mother is a high school principal. If this is true, then she might have led a comfortable life, but she wouldn't exactly be classified as rich. Seo Hee herself said that she affords her lifestyle all by herself, which could be true if we consider everything we know about her side businesses, but since there's really not much confirmed about her family life, let's look at what we actually know and why she's so disturbing. Even if her family was as rich as everyone was claiming, Seo Hee was talented enough to get into some of the top entertainment companies. She auditioned for JYP Entertainment in 2011 when she was only 16. Out of everyone who had auditioned at the time, it seemed that Seo Hee was the most impressive, as she won first place in the auditions without breaking much of a sweat, but for some unknown reason, she never ended up signing an official contract with the company. Whatever happened between her and JYP, Seo Hee wouldn't give up on debuting just yet. Only a year after her audition, she appeared on MBC's audition program Birth of a Great Star 3. She failed to make it to the top 12 in the competition, but her skills were so impressive that after the show ended, she got tons of offers from different entertainment agencies, one of them allegedly being Pledis Entertainment. According to Seo Hee, she was a trainee at the company very shortly. She has even discussed her alleged time there, saying that it had been one of the most challenging parts of her life. She said that she and the other trainees couldn't even drink water without permission during practice. Seo Hee mentioned practicing for 12 hours every day, even on Sundays, with managers keeping an eye on them via CCTV. They apparently couldn't even nap or use their phones without the company finding out. However, after an investigation was conducted, it was tough to find any proof that she had indeed signed a trainee contract with the agency. We have to admit that she has a creative imagination though. Seo Hee also mentioned getting recruited by FNC Entertainment, but it turned out she didn't sign a contract for some reason accusations that came up before the signing was officially completed, there were also rumors that she signed with Source Music as she was allegedly supposed to debut with G-Friend. She even allegedly trained with the members, but she and the company ended up parting ways before the group could debut. Someone had also claimed that she trained under YG Entertainment for a few months, but the company denied the rumors. At this point, Seo Hee herself wasn't sure whether she would be debuting or not. Amongst all these rumors, the only confirmed and truly verified fact is that she was a Jellyfish Entertainment trainee. She trained with the members of Gugudan and was supposed to debut alongside them, but as you have heard many times by now, she and the company ended up parting ways. Later on, Jellyfish revealed that she was actually kicked out after only a month for not following the rules. The label mentioned she trained with them from June to July 2015. She allegedly often skipped practice without permission, and she also supposedly hadn't informed the company of her decision to undergo plastic surgery. In response to these accusations, Seo Hee explained that she didn't attend without permission and denied having plastic surgery without asking for permission beforehand. Whether it was her fault or not, experiencing rejection so many times made Seo Hee lose hope that she would ever be debuting. It had been 6 years since she had first auditioned for JYP, and she was watching the trainees she practiced with debut in their respective groups while she was jumping from company to company with no end in sight. She had stated in the past that she needed to be interested in something to start so she could study or practice for it, and well, she did find an interest, but it ended up causing a lot of trouble for many people. There had been suspicions that Seo Hee had been using substances even when she was just a trainee. It was said that she had been allegedly caught with these substances by managers, which may be why she couldn't stay more than a few months in the same company. So after her dream as an idol came to an end, she allegedly started to provide these substances for others, and business was booming. Because she knew so many trainees and idols from all the different companies she had been under, it wasn't hard to find a clientele to rely on. She also said that she started working at a 10 Pro around the same time, which would have her deal with some of the richest people in Korea, which would have made it even easier for her to expand her business. If you're not familiar with the term 10 Pro, they're high-end adult venues in Korea known for serving the wealthiest individuals. They got the name 10 Pro, meaning 10% in Korea, because it's believed that only the top 10% of the most beautiful women can work there, with Seo Hee being one of them. She said that even though it was controversial to work there, she just couldn't resist the insane amount of money she was making there. It was there that she met YG Entertainment's founder Yang Hyun Suk, and the two became quite close, and were even suspected of having an intimate relationship, judging by the number of times Yang Hyun Suk went to visit her at the establishment. In shared text conversations, Seo Hee is seen calling him Oppa, and Hyun Suk allegedly offered her free tickets to concerts of his artists, which must be why she knew so many YG artists. The event started unfolding in March 2016 when 21's former stylist Yang Sung-ho got arrested in Tokyo for smoking illegal substances. This incident triggered investigations, which led to the involvement of T.O.P, Han Seo Hee, B.I, and many others. The police were already investigating other YG artists for committing the same crime, but had no cause to test anyone just yet. Just a month later, B.I contacted Seo Hee about buying substances from her, and according to what she said to the police, she had delivered the substance to iKON's dorms. Afterwards, Sunghoon from Winner had reached out to Seo Hee, informing her that B.I failed the company's substance test and proposed a meeting between the two. Allegedly, a representative from YG went to meet with her instead, instructing her not to say anything about B.I. Still, Seo Hee probably tried to get herself a good deal with the police and told them everything, including the fact that she had delivered substances to B.I. After the YG employee found out about it. Seo Hee was sent to the company building and privately met with Yang Hyun Suk. According to her, Yang Hyun Suk said that he wasn't a fan of the fact that his artists were getting investigated and threatened to ruin any potential career she had in the idol industry. She went on to say that he urged her to change her statement by emphasizing his influence to access police reports. Seo Hee then said that she felt compelled to comply due to fear and a lack of options. The fact that he was exposed for forcing Seo Hee to change her testimony, as well as a string of other scandals, led to Yang Hyun Suk stepping down from the CEO position at YG in 2019. But back in 2016, while Yang Hyun Suk and B.I were left to deal with the police, Seo Hee walked away with a slap on the wrist. This is why when the scandal broke out in 2019, people started assuming that her family was very rich. She was involved in one of the wildest scandals of one of the biggest companies in the entertainment business, but she walked away unscathed? Very weird. Just a few months later, after she had met with B.I, Seo Hee had allegedly run into Big Bang's T.O.P at a cafe, and he took a liking to her right away. The two ended up dating, and there had been multiple instances in which the two had smoked substances together. Once Yang Hyun Suk was made aware of this, he reportedly sent Seo Hee away to America for 3 months. While this might seem confusing, he had thought this one through. She was purposely sent to Los Angeles a few days before Big Bang's Made album came out and stayed there until the group finished their tour and T.O.P enlisted. Since Yang Hyun Suk was already aware of what T.O.P was doing with Seo Hee, he hoped that sending her away would make the problem go away. As you might be already aware, things didn't work their way. In March of 2017, Seo Hee was arrested for illegal substance-related charges. While investigating in the same month, the police managed to connect T.O.P to Seo Hee and he was sentenced to 2 years of probation. Seo Hee was also sentenced to 4 years of probation and 120 hours of treatment sessions, but she didn't let that get in the way of anything, as shortly after her sentence, she began to make plans to debut in a 4-member group. However, that's not important to us right now, as we're going to briefly discuss the messy situations she got other idols involved in. In October 2019, Seo Hee and her girlfriend Jung Da-eun targeted Monsta X's Wonho and Shonu. Da-eun, who knew Wonho from before, claimed he had a history of aggravated theft and substance use, accusing him of not repaying the 30 million won he allegedly owed her. While Wonho was cleared of the substance allegations, he admitted to past probation which were unrelated to illegal substances. Wonho eventually left Monsta X so he wouldn't be a burden to his members. Then, Seo Hee and D-eun went on to share a message D-eun claimed to have received, in which the sender accused Shonu of having an affair with his wife. Starship Entertainment responded to the claims, stating that while Shonu had contact with the woman before she was married, he wasn't aware of her marital status. She was also involved in the late Lee Soon-gyun's case. Remember the 10 Pro she worked in? Well, it was reported that Lee Soon-gyun used to frequent the establishment a lot, and it was suspected that the two, along with other individuals, had used illegal substances there. Paired with her previous 3 charges, things weren't looking good for her. However, all these years, Seo Hee has never gotten into any real trouble for anything. She has ruined careers and is partially responsible for the tragic state of YG Entertainment now, but she's currently going on with life as if nothing had happened. In fact, she's getting into more trouble even now in 2024. On January 29th, there were some alleged leaked messages between the famous actor Han Seo Hee and Seo Hee. In the supposed message exchange, she allegedly invites him to a luxury hotel in Gangnam for dinner via room service and hinting at possible mature things to take place. He is seen hesitating for a while and she allegedly resorts to threatening him. A netizen then claimed Seo Hee posted photos at the hotel on the same day as the alleged messages, which made everyone doubt whether the messages were even real in the first place. However, some fans believe that not only are the messages real, but that Han Seo Hee should be scrutinized for even hanging around Seo Hee in the first place. Most posts about the alleged exchange are getting deleted, which made people think that someone was taking measures to bury this scandal. Others believe that the conversation is real, but that Seo Hee was offended that Seo Hee had rejected her, so she leaked the conversation to ruin his career. She denied these accusations and even said that the conversation was fabricated. Knowing the many things we have been hearing about her over the past few years, we doubt that this is the last time we will hear about this mess, so stay tuned for more updates. And then there are times when even being indirectly connected to an incident can stain a career forever, something Jessi knows all too well. Jessi has sparked debate among the public more often than not, but her latest situation has drawn considerable focus in South Korea. While some people support her, others demand her departure from the country, leaving netizens questioning who is at fault and who is justified. Jessi has long been a polarizing presence in K-pop, facing various incidents since the beginning of her career that have stirred up debates. On October 11th, Jessi found herself under fire from the public once again when a JTBC report revealed that a fan was attacked right in front of her. The report described an incident from September 29th, where an 18-year-old male fan encountered Jessi while heading to a convenience store in Apgujeong. It said that he approached her for a photo, but things quickly took a turn. CCTV footage released by the media outlet showed a man from Jessi's group blocking the fan and cursing at him in English, while Jessi herself declined the photo but apologized for doing so. After the fan apologized and tried to leave, another man allegedly attacked him, punching and kicking him. Following the attack, Jessi's group reportedly left the area when the fan called the police. They were later located, but then went on to claim they didn't actually know who the assailant was or where he had run off to. JTBC's report also mentioned that the fan's mother visited Jessi's agency to seek answers on the day of the incident, but was told that the man responsible for the attack was not connected to Jessi, but was a Chinese friend of a producer. Dissatisfied with this explanation, the victim's family proceeded to report the attacker to the police, and for about 10 days after the incident, there was no word from either the police or Jessi's agency. Then, on October 10th, the victim victim received a message from the producer, whose friend was the perpetrator, stating that Jessi didn't know who the latter was and wasn't involved, urging him to stop contacting and threatening her. The victim then had to clarify that he had never reached out to Jessi or threatened her in any way, expressing disappointment in how she had reacted. He said, "I don't know if she left because she didn't want to be involved, but I was really let down. Even from the footage, you can see she just stood there." Seeing how serious the situation has gotten, a lawyer representing Jessi's agency, DoD Entertainment, clarified that Jessi had no involvement in the incident. The agency stated that Jessi had just met the individual that day and didn't know him, assuring the public they would fully cooperate with the police to help track down the attacker. However, even though the agency tried to explain things, netizens still expressed a lot of disappointment towards Jessi and her behavior. Some said that they were in disbelief over the fact that she had seen a fan get hurt in front of her, and instead of trying to break the fight or call for help, she just walked away. Many felt that while the attacker was at fault, Jessi's decision to walk away and not address the situation was also a significant concern. Others agreed that while Jessi wasn't in the wrong in this situation, she should still apologize to the fan for the physical and psychological pain that was caused to him. In other words, most netizens were putting her at blame more than the perpetrator himself, which to some was just bizarre to watch. Due to all the backlash, Jessi released her own statement on October 12th, which she started by apologizing to the people who were concerned due to the recent reports. Jessi shared that during a private event with acquaintances, a fan approached her for a photo. She admitted that she turned down the request twice because it was late at night. Then, an individual she had only just met that night began to physically attack the fan out of nowhere. Understandably shocked and overwhelmed by the incident, Jessi admitted that she couldn't focus on the fan's feelings at that moment. However, she expressed regret for the fan's suffering and acknowledged a sense of moral responsibility for what occurred. Jessi added, "Soon after the incident, my label and I contacted the mother of the victim, and we are currently working to ensure that the victim finds the culprit and receives a proper apology and due compensation." In the end, she asked the public not to see the incident through a one-sided lens, but of course, that's exactly what happens. The apology, while seemingly sincere, actually just made things worse for her as the victim and his mother publicly refuted her claims. On the October 14th episode of JTBC's Crime Chef, they addressed Jessi's apology. During the episode, the victim's mother said that Jessi's apology was full of excuses, and her excuse of not knowing the assailant didn't make sense either. She reiterated the victim's statement that Jessi was with the man that night, contradicting Jessi's claim of not knowing him. The mother expressed her anger upon reading Jessi's statement, and the victim remarked that it felt like Jessi wasn't truly reflecting on what had happened. He also added that her mention of moral responsibility in the apology came off as insincere. Additionally, the victim alleged that a producer known as Koala, who has collaborated with Jessi several times, struck him in the stomach before the attack. He recounted that Koala initially punched him twice in the stomach and then continued to push his head against him. The victim even suggested that Koala could be involved with a Korean gang, describing his body language as unusual and not normal. He mentioned that after returning home, he did some digging into Koala's background and found indications that he might indeed be connected to a gang, just as he had suspected. After the episode aired, Jessi's company put out a statement, rightfully explaining that while it was true that Jessi and Koala had worked together several times, Jessi didn't know whether he was part of a gang or not. The reactions after this interview were divided. Most didn't blame Jessi at all for the incident, saying that she just happened to be at the wrong place at the wrong time. In their opinion, if two men were fighting, Jessi wasn't in the wrong to try and save herself by walking away from the situation. As a netizen put it, "I don't know what they wanted her to do. I know she has a strong personality, but she is not a man. It could have been worse if she physically tried to break it up." People were left wondering why Jessi was facing the backlash for a situation she didn't initiate or take part in, while the actual culprit seemed to be overlooked by the media and the public. Many also questioned whether the victim was telling the whole story. A fan noted that in the video, the fan approached Jessi aggressively, shoving his phone in her face, which likely upset her companions. Jessi can even be seen bowing an apology and attempting to calm the situation, trying to intervene twice when the man attacked the victim. Some people were less understanding of Jessi and even suggested that she should leave the country. Her Instagram comments quickly became flooded with people telling her to go back to America and belittling her Korean skills. One even suggested that she should be banned from the country just like Steven Yeun, who infamously wasn't allowed back in Korea after he dodged the military. On October 16th, Jessi showed up at the Gangnam police station for questioning about the incident. Wearing a zip-up hoodie and a black cap, she took a moment to speak to the media, expressing her desire for the perpetrator to be found quickly and punished. She also assured the police that she would share everything she knew about the situation, once again stating it was her first encounter with the attacker that day. But while Jessi was questioned for 6 hours at the police station, a previous incident resurfaced, intensifying public opinion that she should consider stepping away from her career career. To explain, in May 2013, Jessi faced allegations of attacking a Korean-American woman in a club restroom in Itaewon. The victim initially filed a complaint against Jessi and two of her friends, but later withdrew it. Jessi had maintained that she only intervened to stop the fight and did not take part in it, but the victim suggested that her choice to drop the case was motivated by other factors. She explained that she was preparing to return to the US for work and had already purchased her flight tickets. The lengthy legal process would have prevented her from leaving the country, so she felt she had no option but to withdraw the case. She also pointed out that Jessi's friend who attacked her went back to the US, drawing a parallel to Jessi's recent claims about the perpetrator in the current case returning to China. She emphasized that if there hadn't been CCTV footage, Jessi would likely have denied any involvement, just like she's allegedly doing right now. With everything that went on, Jessi actually ended up leaving her label. On October 18th, DoD Entertainment announced that she had parted ways with the label just a month after joining. The company issued an apology for the recent incident that worried fans, explaining that after talks with Jessi about her future, they both decided to end her exclusive contract effective that day. Despite their brief time together, DoD expressed gratitude for Jessi's contributions and wished her well in her future endeavors. International fans are still puzzled about why Jessi was involved in this issue at all, with one of them tweeting, "Jessi lost her whole career, was interrogated for hours, and is enduring the brutality of Korean press because two random men decided to fight and she happened to be there." Many observers noted that Jessi made efforts to pull Koala away from the fan and even tried to step in when the assailant approached. However, realizing she couldn't change the situation, she ultimately backed away for her own safety. On the other hand, the commenter highlighted a perspective from Korea, expressing concern that Jessi didn't help identify the attacker, claiming ignorance of his name. While this may be her truth, it raises doubts about why her entourage, who likely knew him, didn't report the incident to the police. The situation is still unfolding, but it appears Jessi is taking the most heat instead of those who were actually involved in the fight. While we hope the victim finds justice, it's notable that Jessi, who wasn't part of the altercation and even attempted to intervene, is being pressured to leave the country and is facing career setbacks. We hope she can move past this and surrounds herself with better influences to avoid future trouble. These stories show how fragile an idol's career can be when false rumors and lies spread unchecked, as the damage caused by misinformation is very real and sometimes irreversible. If you want to keep uncovering the untold truths behind the spotlight, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell. There's so much more that the industry doesn't want you to know.